Hello everybody and welcome back on BallinCraig Estate. It's another fine summer morning here on the farm, and the young man is just finishing up cleaning out the cattle and the sheep when Trevor suddenly shows up. "Good morning, Trevor," says the young man. Trevor's looking a little flustered, holding his phone. I think I need your help," he says. "A while back, not long after you arrived on the farm, you remember we got a load of straw delivered for free by Henry the farmer who lives a bit up the road." "Oh yes, of course," says the young man. "I remember that was really helpful of him, and you were going to help him out at some point." "That's the thing," says Trevor. He's just phoned. They're trying to get their wheat harvest started. They had winter wheat in and it's all set and ready. Obviously ours is a little bit later than that. And he wants me to come up today, but the problem is one of his helpers have fallen sick and he actually needs 2 people to help out. So I was wondering. The young man smiles. "Trevor, you really don't need to ask. Of course I will help out. We just got to make sure that we get a picture of me over here by the cows, so we can send something to the solicitors to show that I'm working on the farm as well. Okay?" Trevor smiles. "I like the way you're thinking, lad." And he quickly snaps a picture of the young man. "Okay, well, if you're up for it, Henry said just to come up as soon as we could, basically. His son Thomas is about to start cutting the wheat, and we're mainly just going to be carting the grain and maybe helping out with a bit of baling as well." "No problem," says the young man. Let's get going, but you better drive. You know the way." And so the young man and Trevor hops into the van and gets underway. Now it's time to pay the dues for the help that they've got, and they do so gladly as they set off from BallinCraig for a day of helping out another farmer. As they head out the road, the young man says, "I'm a bit worried about that strange visitor we had the other night. You know, the guy who said he was from the council." Don't worry about it, lad. Helen's gonna be back today. She'll be up looking after the sheep. There'll be somebody on the farm. You can phone her and ask if you want." After a bit of a drive, the young man and Trevor is reaching the area where Henry's farm is located. Trevor smiles over at the young man. It's a bit of a bigger farm we're coming to now. Henry actually has 2 farms in this area, he says. It's a lovely place." The young man takes in the surroundings. "Gosh, yeah, this looks a lot more modern than BallinCraig, that's for sure." Don't worry," says Trevor. "Once you've driven a tractor, it's pretty much the same. There's just a few more knobs and buttons and things to keep track of." The young man looks a bit nervous. "I don't know, I haven't really driven really modern tractors very much," he says. "Oh, you'll be fine. Henry's a patient man. His son's perhaps not quite as patient, but you'll be alright. Just don't worry about it. We're almost there. We just got a little further to go. Got to turn off right before we get to the village here." Here we go," he says. "We're turning. There's roadworks here, but we should be alright. Henry's just up the road from here," he says. As they come up to the farm, the young man sees a very large tractor and baler. "Whoa," he says. "This is very different." Trevor smiles. Aye, but I think we're just gonna be driving grain carts, so you'll be alright. Ah, here we are, he says. I'll probably just pull in over here. But Henry lives right on the other side of the road from here. I think we're okay to park here. Ah, Henry! He smiles and greets Henry, who's standing in front of the door. Ah, Trevor! It's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming to help me out today. Oh, this must be the young man you've told me so much about. The young man smiles. Oh, hello. Sure, I'm glad we could help you out today. Yes. Aye, it's much appreciated. Follow me and I'll show you the tractors. Thomas is already over in the field. He's starting to run the combine, doing the first cut around the field, taking the headlands off. Here we go, says Henry. 2 fine Massey Fergusons. They're both the same, so you boys should be alright. There's one that has a bit of a smaller trailer. You'll be dumping here in the grain bin, but it's a fair old drive over to the field. And he scribbles down some instructions and hands them to Trevor. You should be able to find it. You can use the footpath through the forest. It's not much use. Just be careful in case you do see somebody out walking their dog. The young man approaches the big, very, very modern tractors, looking back at Trevor. Trevor simply grins and says, Aye, pick yours, lad. I think I'll go for the smaller cart, just so I don't mess up, he says, and climbs in. Trevor hops into the tractor next door and looks over at the young man who seemed to be searching around a bit. And as the young man gets it started up, he motions over to Trevor that he's going to follow Trevor. And Trevor gets started and pulls out ahead. Henry shouts after them that he'll be down in a little while to get the baling underway, but to just take it easy and not rush things. It'll be a little while before Thomas has the first load ready for one of them. So they set off quietly down the road. Trevor drives quite slowly down the road, making sure that the young man is behind him. In spite of the directions, Trevor manages to overshoot and misses the entrance that they were meant to be taking, but they find somewhere to get turned around without too much drama, and on the way back, Trevor locates the footpath. It doesn't look like there's any people about. Now, it is obviously a footpath, so they have to take it quite carefully down this road. As they come into the field, they see Thomas, Henry's son, has already started the first cut of the field, so they simply park up by the side to wait for a sign. The first round on the headland almost perfectly fits with a full tank, so Thomas radios over quite shortly and simply informs them that he'll just dump quickly into the first trailer here. And the young man really doesn't have to do anything at all, he just needs to sit there, start to relax and think, this is a pretty good gig so far, if that's all there is to it. He's a bit more concerned about having to try and find his way back to the grain bin when it comes to actually having a full trailer here. But Thomas gets unloaded and simply starts doing the second round of the headland before starting to work more along the length of the field. Thomas lines up and starts emptying into the young man's trailer again, and Trevor radios over. I think you're going to be close enough to full that you can head back once you finish dumping this time, and I can take the next 2 or 3 loads, so you've got plenty of time to get over, so you can just take it easy on the roads. The young man fumbles a bit with the radio and manages to get a message sent back. Yeah, okay, I'll give it a shot. Thomas doesn't seem to be the talkative type on the radio. He simply sets to starting to do a long cut down the field now. The young man starts up the tractor and starts turning around. See you in a bit, he radios over to Trevor as he tries to get the tractor turned around on this rather narrow, slightly muddy footpath. He feels very aware of this new, big, expensive equipment compared to the old tractors back on BallinCraig. It's quite impressive to try and drive machinery like this, and it also makes him realize how small BallinCraig really is in some ways, but also how much you can achieve even with some old machinery. And he realizes how much more work his uncle has been putting in recent years compared to all the farmers around him. But he sets off trying to remember the direction and studying the surroundings a bit. He hasn't really been up this way very much before, so it's new territory to him. But he recognizes the house as he pulls up and gets the tractor around the corner reasonably safely. Henry seems to be waiting to see how things are going. The young man pulls over and stops at Henry. "Oh, you're doing fine, lad," he says. "You just get emptying. I'll bring the baler down now. You can follow me down afterwards." The young man pulls up on the grate and you just gotta find the right controls to start unloading the grain. The thing lifts and starts tipping out quite happily. Before long, the first load of wheat has made it into grain bin. Plenty of space for more. The young man drives out and he can see Henry has pulled up in the big class tractor with the baler, so he just lines up behind him and follows him down the road. Just as Henry and the young man pulls down, Trevor's about to set off to get ready to receive some grain from Thomas. The young man pulls up and realizes he's got a bit of waiting to do, so gets his phone out and sends a text to Helen asking her if she minds checking in on the farm. He hesitates about mentioning the strange nighttime visitors on the farm. He doesn't want to worry her. Before long, Henry has started pressing the bales down the long straight parts, and harvest is in full swing here on Henry's farm, with a little help and repayment of a favour from quite a while ago now. Henry pulls the big class tractor right up next to the young man and hops out. Comes over to the young man who's been sitting twiddling his thumbs for a bit. "Hey, come and give it a go." The young man looks a bit concerned. I'm not sure. That's kind of a big machine." "Oh, you'll be fine," says Henry. "I'll show you the controls." So the young man climbs into the class tractor and Henry jumps up into the seat and quickly shows him the controls on how to lower and raise the collector, what gear to keep it in, and simply smiles at him. "There you go, lad. You'll be fine. We seem to be keeping up with the grain, so I might take the Massey Ferguson over and bring a bale trailer down instead. We might even be start being able to collect some of the bales today." Henry climbs out and looks up at the young man, grinning at him. "You'll be fine, lad." The young man pulls off very, very slowly and carefully, and tries to line up with a strip and drops the collector down, and inside the cab he's trying to reach his head down and see where he's going. It's a very big machine compared to what he's used to, but in some ways it's actually easier than Mike's old round baler. This thing you keep driving forward, and it's such a fierce machine at collecting that Before too long, he's quite happy to pick up a bit of speed and kind of feels like he's flying down the field compared to the round baler, but it is obviously a much bigger machine as well. Trevor waves and grins as the young man is now flying past with the baler, obviously enjoying that the young man's getting to try a few different things while helping out here on the farm. The young man's really enjoying himself driving this baler now that he's got the hang of it. It's not too hard and you really get through a lot in a very short space of time, but obviously this field is much bigger than anything back on BallinCraig, and he thinks to himself that equipment this size is probably not really ever gonna fit in on his farm, but it sure is a lot of fun to drive. Henry is returning with the Massey Ferguson, now having put on the farm's new bale stacker, ready to give this thing a go. Even Henry is not too familiar with it. It was a new piece of machinery that they have bought in this year with the aim of reducing the amount of people needed, so you don't need somebody running around in a telehandler or front loader to collect the bales. And he seems to be getting the hang of it fairly quickly. Although there is a little space left on top in Trevor's trailer, he feels that the load is starting to feel a little unbalanced, so he heads back to empty out. With a full load of bales, Henry radios over to the rest of the working team. Trevor, you're back at the farm. It's time for us to have some lunch while the boys keep working for a bit, he laughs. Then we can change over. I need Thomas to have a go at this auto stacker thing as well. It seems to be just the ticket for us. And so he heads back to the farm, where lunch is waiting to begin with for him and Trevor, and afterwards Thomas and the young man will get a break as well. So the young man is carrying on with the baling and Thomas working on the combine. Thomas radios over to the young man and tells him that he's pretty much full, but he reckons that it'll be a little while before Trevor and his dad comes back. He's got a few snacks in the combine, so if the young man wants to finish the row that he's just started and come down and meet him at the combine, they can sit and have a short break as well. The young man agrees. He feels a little odd. He feels like he should be working the whole day since he's here repaying the favour, but obviously Thomas is kind of running the farm as well, and if he says it's time for a break, it's probably time for a break. So there's not much left, and you can see Thomas has already climbed out of the combine just a little bit further down, so he lifts up and finds the control to turn off the baler. Stops the tractor for a bit. Feel the warm engine from the powerful machine as he walks over to Thomas. They sit down in the fresh straw. As they sit and talk, the young man realizes a few things. Thomas is talking about the machinery on the farm, the yield figures, the amount of fertilizer they put on per acre. The young man suddenly feels that he's pretty much out of his depth on this farming thing. He's kind of really just gone with a bit of experience, some of his uncle's old notes, and just trying to do the right thing without really getting very technical about it. He smiles at Thomas. Where did you learn all of this stuff? And Thomas explains that he went to an agricultural college before coming back to help run the farm. He says, don't worry about it. From what I understand, you're still learning. Yes, says the young man, but I don't know. I feel I got a lot to learn still. Thomas simply sits down and passes him a cold can of pop and says, enjoy your drink and the nice summer weather. Oh, it'll be nice to be up in that hot air balloon, eh? Meanwhile, back at the house, Trevor and Henry has had themselves a nice lunch, and they've packed some food for the boys. They agreed it might be better to bring it out to the field rather than having to come all the way back and sort things out. Trevor and Henry return to the field and can see the two young men down the other end of the field, so simply heads down so that they can get their packed lunches. But before long, Thomas is back in the combine. Trevor is filling grain once again, and Henry and the young man gets to work on the bales. As the young man is heading up the field, you can see Henry has stopped. He's swapping over with Thomas so his son can have a go at the bale stacker as well. Obviously they both need to be able to use it here on the farm, so that seems reasonable. And as you're dropping the bales, you have to navigate their yard a bit, so the young man's quite pleased that he doesn't have to do that bit. He's quite happy sticking with the baling for now. Thomas seems to be getting to grips with the bale stacker just fine and has filled the rest of the load fairly quickly to head back to the farm. After another couple of hours of work, Trevor is unloading grain as Henry is taking the last strip on the field. Henry radios over just as the auger is finishing transferring grain. "Oh, this is brilliant, boys. We've done 2, not perhaps even 3 days of work in this field, just today alone. Once we're finished with this grain here, you boys are free to go home as long as you don't mind helping getting at least one of the tractors back over." The young man is still working on the baling. "Are you sure?" he says. I feel like we should carry on until all the baling is done." "Oh no," Henry radios back over. "You've done more than enough. You've helped tremendously today. There's hardly anything left. Thomas and I will be able to finish this tonight, even after you guys have gone home." The young man feels a little bit bad about leaving. It's like he almost doesn't want to let go of this wonderful piece of machinery that he's getting to drive, but he agrees and says, I'll pull up once I finish this row here." And Thomas is returning from dropping off bales. He seems to be continuing the work as the young man and Trevor is finishing up their help for the day. And with the last plume of dust, the young man halts the baler and stops the engine, climbs out, take a last admiring look at the machinery before he heads down to get a ride back to the farm with Trevor. Trevor grins at the young man. "Eh, that was good fun, wasn't it?" says as he slowly rolls out of the field. "Yeah," says the young man, "but I feel like we're leaving them before we're really done." "Oh, don't worry," says Trevor. "Remember, we're repaying a favor, but it is their farm to run after all." Thomas waves at them as they drive out of the field, and Henry is getting ready to pack up the combine. He radios through. "If you just tip the grain and leave the massey, you're all good to go. Thank you so much for all of your help." So the young man and Trevor head back over to the farm. After a decent day's work, they got to play with some nice new machinery, and they haven't really lost too much time or effort on BallinCraig. Trevor grins. "Aye, it'll feel different going back to the hay work now, eh lad? We still got one field to finish back home." The young man nods. "Yeah, I was so excited about the round baler when we got that, but even that seems pretty old and out of date now." Trevor grins. "It does the job for us, lad. It does the job." And as Trevor unloads the grain, the young man hops out and goes over to fetch the car so they can head back over to their home on BallinCraig Estate. Trevor climbs out of the big massive Ferguson and smiles at the young lad. "Well, thank you very much, lad," he says. "I think it's time to go home now." This time the young man's driving. "I think I know the way back," he says. "You just keep me straight, okay?" Trevor grins, leaning back in the seat. Tired, a bit dusty from the day's work. Don't worry, lad. You'll be fine. You seem to be fine in pretty much anything. I'm quite impressed about how you handled today." And after a bit of a quiet and tired drive home after a day of working on Henry and Thomas's farm, Trevor and the young man find themselves back in more familiar surroundings, where life perhaps has a slightly steadier and less technological pace. But the experience has definitely made the young man think about what he knows about farming, how he approaches it, and how much things have changed, and can't help but think that if he's gonna keep running BallinCraig Estate, he's gonna have to start learning a bit more about some of the things that Thomas talked about. But at the same time, it's nice to be back. Helen is out looking after the sheep, and the farm looks to be all in one piece as Trevor and the young man tiredly climbs out of the car and heads to their respective houses to have a good wash and an early night. And that's it for this episode, partially on BallinCraig Estate today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe buttons. And thank you very much for watching. See you again soon from Overcourt Gaming.